Good evening. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Creations by Julie. I am Julie, and Ed is behind the camera again tonight. And to catch any of the comments and questions that you might have.
Julie, and Ed is behind the camera.
Sorry.
So I guess we are on Facebook, or was that a different live?
No, that's
All right, let me pull mine up. Mine will probably go crazy too. Okay, well, anyway, thank y'all for joining us tonight. Yeah, there we are. So, hi, Brenda. And Maria's on. I bet it's a lot colder where you are, Brenda. I mean, we actually are getting some cooler weather. I think it was like 45 last night. Right now it's 62. So, I mean, we're happy with that. Ed was just looking at some pictures and showing me, and I didn't remember getting any snow. We got just enough to kind of cover the driveway, and it said it was, February of last year, 2021. And I thought it was a year or two before that. But anyway, it would be nice if we had a white Christmas, but not really planning on it. But it is cooler, and that's nice. But I love seeing the pictures of everybody's snow. I don't want to be out in it. I don't want to have to shovel it. Somebody the other night, who was it talking the other night that was having to shovel? Was it Barbara?
Yeah.
Rosecrans or not? Anyway, somebody was mentioning shoveling.
And the bracket says, yes, it's cold, but it didn't rain the thing. Thank God.
Yeah, the rain kind of gets depressing, I think. You know, the snow's pretty and white, and rain just gets yucky.
Thank you for the share, Miss Brenda.
Yeah, appreciate it. So, this is the last Thursday I will be doing a live. Next week we're going to do a live on Monday, and then that's it till like the middle of January. You know, there's just not a lot of holidays. We'll start making something for Valentine's Day, and then probably Easter, and you know, I'm probably just going to go live one day a week because I honestly don't think I can come up with enough things of interest with not major holidays, you know, until it gets to be closer to where we can start doing the fall and the Halloween stuff. There's just so little that you can do around Valentine's and even the 4th of July. But anyway, I will be live next Monday.
Maria Francisco said we're getting 10 to 15 inches of snow.
Oh, wow. You'd have to just stay inside and look at it out the window. I can't imagine having to go anywhere like that. But okay, so tonight we're going to do some cute gingerbread men. And y'all know I like to play and do some ahead of time. And I'll tell you, they can get addictive because there's so many different ways to do them. And I'm going to show you a few of those tonight, and we're going to go through a couple of things. There's a couple of tips that I found work better for me, you know, so I'll share those with you. But the first thing you're going to need to do is to go online and just do a search for free gingerbread man graphic. There's tons of them out there. And then save one to your computer and then size it however you decide you want to make it. I decided, and it's a little blurry because I think the thing I saved was pretty small, and then when I blew it up it made the lines really blurry, but that's okay. I mean, I just want an outline anyway. It wouldn't do for me to even sit down and try to draw a gingerbread man because he'd have an oblong head if I was drawing. So I wanted it, you know, let me see how big this one is. From head to foot, he's about 7 inches, 7.5 inches. So about, you know, not a full page. So once you get him printed out, you can print out more than one, and you can put it on felt. You can put it on, I made one in this brown check fabric, coffee dyed fabric, and I'm going to draw another one on this fabric because I made one and I'm going to do another one. Now I started out, I cut him out, and then I tried cutting out one out of cardboard. And y'all, that was a little tough. My cardboard was really stiff, and I even messed up his neck right there. So several of them, I put my gingerbread man on there, and I used pins like you would do a pattern, and I pinned him on and then cut around. However, when I started working with some paper, because you can use paper bags and stuff like that too, I discovered I really did like tracing him on and then cutting, maybe 1/4 of an inch wider than the pattern, and I'll show you why. It's all got to do with like gluing him together. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm just going to put him on here, and I'm just going to take a marker. Oops, I don't want that big one. Let's try the little one. And I'm just going to kind of trace around him. And that's, and this doesn't have to be perfect. I've probably made 5 or 6 gingerbread men, and none of them are exactly alike, and none of them are perfect. But that's okay. Let's see if I got him. Yeah, I got a marker all the way around. What I discovered is if you draw it out, and then I like to cut with my pinking shears. I just think it makes for a better edge. And you want to go just a little bit out from your line. So let me just cut him loose from here.
Kathy Keller said, "Good evening, Angelique."
Hi, Kathy. Oh no, we're just getting started. I'm just going to show you several gingerbread men. I thought this would be a good color, but I'm going to show you in a little bit later how I changed that color too. Now, if you want to like take him and pin him now, I didn't tell you, but I doubled my fabric because you got to have a front and a back, okay? So if you want to pin it now where it doesn't slip on you when you cut him out, you can do that. Just treat it like a pattern. And then, like I said, make him as big or as little as you want. That's just personal preference. Okay, and I'm going to start, and I'm going to do to the outside of my line and try to kind of stay about the same, but it doesn't have to be exact. I did find the first one or two when I tried to cut right on the line, right here where his head comes down, I just about cut his neck off a time or two. So I wasn't the best at staying on the line anyway. But when I started working with paper bags, somebody had this tip, and I thought, oh, yeah, I like that better. Now it might not work for you. You may want to cut him right on the line. I will tell you, when you do it this way, it makes him a little bit larger because you're actually cutting a little bit larger than your pattern, depending on what size you want him. And you don't have to use pinking shears. You can use regular scissors if that's what you've got. Now, when you're working with fabric, you've got 2 options of putting him together. You can either glue him. That's where our line comes really in handy. Or you can actually sit down and sew him together. I did it both ways. I will tell you, definitely the sewing all the way around him does take up some time, but it makes for a very nice looking gingerbread man too, if you've got the patience to sit and do that. But like I said, they are addictive. You make one and then you're like, oh, you decorate it and you're like, oh, now I need to make a girl to go with him. All right, do y'all have any questions? If by some chance you don't have a printer, or, well, it wouldn't help you if you don't have a printer. I was going to say, if you can't find one, holler at me and send me your email, and I can always send you this one. Like I said, he is kind of blurry around the edges, but you still can, cut around it. Okay, this is what we've got. But you should be able to just Google gingerbread man. So that's what we have, okay? 2 pieces. Okay. Now, when I'm going to glue this one. So I'm going to take this piece and put it on the bottom, but I want this piece to match perfectly. Don't turn them over because, I mean, you want them the way you cut them. Just slight, you know, one arm might be different than the other. But if you do it that way, I like, and this is why I liked tracing it first, if you take your glue gun now and go around, just put glue on the line, then you don't have the problem, you've got a little bit of extra, you don't have the problem of your filling, your stuffing seeping out or getting glue right on the edges normally. So that's why I liked the line, and it was just more of a perfect, and always start down at his legs. We're going to just do around the edges. I'm not using fabric glue. This is just my regular glue. And then I'm going to lay it on there. You want to make sure he's cooled before you go to stuff him. That keeps your stuffing from sticking to the glue. But see, it gives you a little bit, and then you can always trim it if you want it closer to the glue line. Okay. Now this is the way you do it if you do cloth. Like I said, you can glue it or you can take him now. If you sew him, let me show you one that I actually stitched. But I'm going to show you the back side of him. And see, this is where I had to glue and add because I didn't know about the yarn. But you just do stitching around. This is made out of felt. And it has the scalloped, which is fine. Or you can do the plain. But you want to start, if you're sewing him, start at his neck. Okay, leave the head open. Start here at the neck, and of course put your knot inside, and then go all the way around him. I used embroidery thread all the way around to this side. Then you want to stuff him from the head, and then stuff his head, then finish around the top. But when you're gluing, you want to do his legs first, then stuff his, I found it easier if you'll go, well, thought that was glued, to go ahead and stuff his legs before I glue the rest of him, because you don't have so far. And it's good to have a pencil with an eraser. The eraser won't poke a hole in it, and it won't stick to your stuffing as much. So, you know, if you've got him glued, then take your stuffing, and you really don't want your gingerbread men stuffed a whole lot. You just want it to give it a 3D look. But it's easier to stuff it when you don't have to go so far. And then take your pencil, and then your pencil will push that stuffing on down in there. And then you can look and see, because if there's anywhere you've missed, I thought maybe that what hadn't caught there, but I think it did.
Karen Hunter said hi.
Hey Karen, we're making some gingerbread men, and I'm telling y'all, he's addictive. So you just kind of want to get it not where it's pushing it out the side, but just a little bit of stuffing into those legs. It just makes it easier if you do, oops, see, I just pulled that one loose. So, but I'm going to go ahead and, that one came loose on both sides. Hang on, my glue may not have been hot enough. We're going to redo that. I think he came loose over here too. I'm going to turn my glue gun up to high.
Was it the glue or the operator?
Oh, it wasn't the operator, you know that. She's perfection. Alright, let's put some more glue there. You don't want to burn your fingers, but yet you want it. Karen said rained all day, getting cooler. Yeah, I was just talking, and we're supposed to actually get some pretty cold weather. I think my glue just dried too fast because the glue, you can see the glue on here. I think it just dried too fast. We're supposed to get some really cold. They're saying like north of Houston, very popular, possible that they will have a little bit of snow. Maybe for Christmas. But was it just yesterday we had the air conditioner on? Yeah, craziness.
And we're 12 miles from the beach, so it's kind of hard for us to get snow here because most of the time the sea breeze and stuff blows it away.
All right, so I'm just going to, like I said, don't overstuff him. Can you see how it's just kind of a 3D look there? Just something to give him a little filling, and then you have to finish stuffing him all the way down. And it's better to do little pieces at a time. And I will tell you, we're going to do one with paper in a few minutes in a paper bag. Your fabric, of course, is a lot more forgiving and givable, if that's such a thing as this. But it's a lot easier to move the fabric around and stuff it because you can bust your paper bag. All right, so there's one arm. Just lay it down on there. And then we're going to, and if you late in joining me, I traced him and then I cut just maybe 1/4 of an inch from the line that I traced, but I'm putting my glue on that line so I don't have the white stuffing getting into my glue and coming out the sides. Okay. So you can see that we've kind of, and both sides won't be exact. And then you just, it just depends on how much stuffing you want to put in there. Okay, now we're going to stuff his arms a little. He has fat little arms, it looks like. And you can always, once you get him stuffed, you can go back and trim some of the extra around the edges if you want to, because you have that little bit of space there to do that. And you can use any kind of fabric. Like I said, I even did one with felt. The felt took more stuff, let me put more stuffing in than the material. Okay. And you can kind of get that stuffing to move around a little. The pencil works really well to get it down in there. Okay. It gets a little tricky when you go to do his head because you want to do it a little at a time and get that stuffing all in there where it needs to be. So I'm just going to move all this stuffing over, and I'm going to start and do like half of his head. It's just a matter of going a little slow and giving your glue time to set up and dry. And so I'm just stuffing from one side now. Are we boring you, Ed?
No. I feel like I'm going to go to sleep.
How many of you have ever made stuffed gingerbread men? I've never even made a real gingerbread man. I've never built, believe it or not, never built a gingerbread house. That's just not something we did growing up. And I never did it with my kids that I remember doing anyway. And you would think, as much as I like to craft, I would have done that. But I can remember at Easter, coloring eggs. I hated it. Oh, I hated it. And at one time, they had the markers that you could just mark on and then dip them in the color, and it made it so much easier.
Kathy Keller said she hadn't either.
Yeah.
And Karen Hunter said she didn't either.
Made a gingerbread man or a gingerbread house? Or either?
Either.
Yeah, I haven't done any of it. But these, I really enjoyed. I think it's because there's so many things you can do with them. Once you get this part done, and you kind of get him stuffed. So there's what we have. All right, that does look like it's trying to come loose right there. So let me add a little bit of glue there. Poke my stuffing back in there. Now, if I didn't like his shape and I wanted to go and trim, if I like right here is a little thick, so I might trim that. But the first thing I'm going to do is put a little glue right here. I think it just wasn't hot enough to start with. All right, so like anywhere where you see where he's too thick, like I would just take my pinking shears, and you know you've got from there to there, and I would just come here and trim that just a little bit. Kind of make him more rounded. And other than that, I'm happy with it. Okay, now the fun starts, and there's so many things that you can do with him. If you don't like the color, all right, let me add some glue right here. Sometimes there's a couple of just little places that you just need to touch up. But, wow, maybe I should have used the fabric glue.
Your gun may not be getting hot.
I turned it up to high. I probably didn't wait long enough to really let it set up, and then I stuffed him. Okay, he looks a little thick right there, but I'm not going to fool with trimming him up. Okay, so that's what we've got. If you don't want him that color, I'm going to show y'all, before I show you how to do the paper one, and we do one of those, I'm going to show you how you can kind of grunge him up and make him look like a primitive. Actually, I'll do one I've already started so that I can show you what it looks like when it dries. I did one, it wasn't this dark of a fabric, it was actually the coffee stained, it was this, which is fairly close. But this was the color of fabric. This is what he looks like after I grunged him up with cinnamon. So I'm going to show you how you can do that. And very simple, very easy. You just need Mod Podge, cinnamon, and a plate to put him in, and something to put your Mod Podge in, because you're not going to want to pour this back in here because it gets cinnamon all over it. But oh, there it goes. But this is what they call. It's just one way to grunge things up. Remember, we did it with the light bulb that we made into a snowman last year. That's probably more Mod Podge than I needed. Okay, and I had one brush that I usually use, this one. Okay, so what I'm going to do is and I didn't do this side, you can see where he was wet and dried a little, because I wanted to show you how it changed it. You're just going to put your cinnamon on there. With Mod Podge, yeah, well, yeah, you're going to put the Mod Podge on first. You could mix them together, I don't know. And then you're just going to sprinkle cinnamon on him. Okay. Let's see, it really looks different. You could do the whole thing at one time, because you're going to go back over it. And it can get messy. I don't have enough cinnamon on there to do that. So, and you can go as light or as dark as you want. It really gives them a cool texture. And this is the grunging with cinnamon. And you want to kind of use an older brush or use the same brush for all of your grunging. We've done this with several things. And I didn't get a wet rag, Ed, and I'm going to need one for my hands. Okay. But when you start getting your brush in the cinnamon, it makes a mess. Also, you can't thank you. You can't feel the material, but I can tell you the side that has been grunged with the cinnamon and stuff is a lot thicker. It changed the texture of the cloth. See, this is when you start getting yucky. You're sealing that cinnamon, but you're also like giving it a different texture. And see, I can put it back in this now because I'm not putting that back in my Mod Podge bottle. Now, you absolutely don't have to grunge him up. I'll show you one that I did with that fabric that we just did that I did not grunge.
The dog or cat might like it.
It smells so good, though. That's the one thing about the cinnamon. And you could dip him, you know, however you want to do it. But see how this has even changed now I've been touching it. Okay, now you're going to take your Mod Podge, and I'm probably going to have to pour some more in there. But you're kind of going to go over it. It roughs it up a little, but it seals. It seals that cinnamon on there. That's why he was so wet a while ago. I'm going to need a little bit more Mod Podge. And it's messy, see? Oh, don't need that much. See if I can pour it back in there and not get any of that on the bottom. Okay, now I'm going to dip it in here. And I'm just going to go over my cinnamon. If you want to make some small ones like this and hang them on your tree or put them in adobo, oh, they smell so good. Then you're going to have to let it dry really well, a day at least, before you decorate him. And maybe you don't want to put anything on him except a little hanger or maybe a bow. Like I said, when I get this one done, I'm going to have Ed take him and set him over there to dry. Because he really looks dark now. But he will dry lighter. It'll lighten up. And the Mod Podge on top just kind of gives it a little bit of a texture. And seals your cinnamon on there. He almost looks like, this up here looks like a chocolate candy bar. Okay. And I may have to touch up that side of him. But Ed, you want to take him and lay him somewhere on that glass thing over there on the counter? Be good. Okay. So that would be how you would grunge up the fabric. We're going to do the paper a little different. Because we're not going to use cinnamon. We're going to use what they call a coffee grunge. But let me show you some of the different things of the fabric ones that you can do to decorate them. You wouldn't have to do anything if you didn't want to. I mean, they're cute just like that. But let's see, I did this one out of felt. This is the one to where I just practiced sewing around him. and I messed up the stitch somewhere right here in the corner. So it's not perfect. And I just use buttons and pipe cleaner. Or, I mean, you see, this is where I had to fix this. I didn't know how much thread I was going to need was the main thing. But that's one out of the felt. Here's the one out of the polka dot. And I just used rickrack and buttons. And then this is the one I did today. I made a little girl. And it was out of the same fabric. She's not grunged or anything. I just decided to use small rickrack. And see, I stitched her. Can you tell on the back side where she's not glued, she's stitched. And of course, there are a couple of places. The only thing when you're stitching, you have to kind of keep your, keep them close together, and you have to keep them the same distance in, pretty close. You don't want one way inside and one at the edge. But like, see, it's puckering a little bit there because I went a little too wide going around her foot. But, and she's got a weird looking face because I told Dad I dropped the pen. I was using just a marker. And I dropped the marker and it touched. So I had to kind of give her a nose to make up for that. But you wouldn't have to dress them up. But if you wanted, like the other one that we just did, this one I probably, since I have this one, I probably will take this one and make it a boy and have a set. But if you want to make a girl, you don't even have to put the skirt. You just give her a bow. But the other couple that I've got are paper. So I'm going to show you how to do the paper. And then we'll talk about how you can decorate those. Okay. Now, I decided that I wanted a smaller one. You remember I told you this one was about 7 inches. I wanted to do some and make like tree ornaments, and I knew they needed to be smaller, so this one is 6 inches. I just sized it down on my computer and printed this out. You can use a paper bag, which, you know, you can, it doesn't matter about the flap here at all. You would just put it on this, see, it would just barely fit this paper bag. So I made one and did the coffee grunge on it, but I couldn't go outside. This was before I figured out it was better to trace it and go, but this one just barely fit this thing. So he ended up, he's the smaller one, this one. Yeah. So it ends up being, yeah, about 6 inches. But this is just out of a paper bag. And see, you don't see the line or anything. I mean, you barely, if you look real close, here on the front, I can see. But it doesn't matter. And then I just used puff paint. And I put like rusty wire up here. I did learn too, it's better to put the rusty wire before you put the grunge on it. So if you're going to do one, I started doing a couple with brown paper, a roll of brown paper. So you would just take your little man, trace him on there, and then the same way, you've got 2 pieces of brown paper, just kind of hold them together, and then when you're cutting, cut to the outside of the line. And this makes a little bit larger gingerbread man. So just kind of go in those and cut fairly close to the same distance apart. But anyway, you're just going to cut him out like this. And again, you do not have to use pinking shears. I just like it, especially for fabric, because it kind of keeps it from fraying so bad. Okay, so I'm going to cut around his arm.
Karen said that would be cute on a package instead of a bow.
Yeah, they would. And like I said, they don't really take long to make, actually. They're not that big, Doesn't take much stuffing. I really leaned more to the grunged up paper ones. I don't know why.
I like the puffy paint.
Oh. And y'all can tell from my faces and stuff, I'm not an artist. But you just play and have fun. Okay, so you've got him like this. You're going to take him. And remember, I said this was the smaller one. You're going to take it.
And Travis said hi, and she sprinkled.
Hi, Ann. Thank you. And then you're going to lay this one on top. And again, you're going to put glue on the line and then put the paper down. And I have one that I started.
Karen said she liked the puffy paint one too.
I started this one because I wanted to show you how different it is. Remember how I stuffed this one? When you're working with the paper, you cannot stuff it quite as much. It just takes a little bit of stuffing because your paper will tear and rip. It's not as forgiving as the cloth is. So just put your stuffing in there. I taped up to right here. So then I'm just going to kind of slide it in there. This is where your pencil comes in pretty handy. And the paper doesn't take much stuffing at all, just to make it just a little bit puffy. It's definitely more of a challenge to stuff the paper than it was the fabric. Because if you pull on this too much, trying to get the stuffing in there, then you're going to tear him up here, where we didn't have to worry about that with the fabric. So you're not going to put near the stuffing. You see, I just put just barely a little bit of stuffing in there. And that's probably too much to go down in that leg. But I do like the paper ones.
Karen Hunter says, I got the stencils today. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So I'm just getting it in there just to make it puff up a little bit. And this is from the, it's not from a paper bag, it's from the rolled brown paper.
And Travis sent you 50 shillings.
Thank you, Ann. So that's pretty much, I mean, you don't want much stuffing at all. Just a little bit. And then we're going to do his body. Doesn't matter if he's wrinkled. We're all a little wrinkled, aren't we? So it's okay for our gingerbread men to be wrinkled. Okay. Just do him a little at a time. Once you get his body pretty much done, then glue his arms.
Karen says amen to that.
And just go on the line. Just run your glue along that line to his neck. And lay it down. Then go to his other side. See, now his face to me looks, I probably need to cut a little bit right there because that doesn't look very rounded. So I'm going to glue his arm right here. Come around to his neck. I like my little girl. I'm going to make a boy to match her. But I think I like the paper ones. Just the way they feel and stuff like that. I just like those. Okay, so now I'm going to stuff those arms, just a little bit of stuffing.
Linda Kirkendall says, hi, Julie from snowy Minnesota.
Wow.
We've had 6 inches so far, and it's still coming down.
I would love it. You know, this business of air conditioner one day and then you need the heater the next is craziness. They say about Texas, if you don't like the weather, wait 15 minutes and it changes. Okay. You do have to be a lot more careful with the paper than you do fabric. Now, I have not tried the coffee grunge on fabric, but I may have to try it just to kind of see if I like it better than the cinnamon. It does have a good smell too, because I'll tell you what it is here in a minute when we go to do it. You may not want to put anything on yours. You may just want to leave it paper. Okay, now that one doesn't look like that arm is stuffed at all. See if I can get a little up in there and not push my luck too much. You can take the eraser of that pencil and get it up in there. And it just takes a little bit. Okay. Let's get the head now. You got to go all the way down right there in that corner and come around your line. I don't know that that went all the way. Don't think it did. Oh, I didn't want to do that. All right. You don't go all the way around until you get his head stuffed. You got to leave an opening. So let's let that glue dry, because we got to have an opening here to finish stuffing.
Sandy Renshaw says, here I am again, late to the show.
That's okay, Sandy. That's the one good thing about Facebook that has not changed, is the replays are always available. And I've told y'all before, I'm actually on YouTube. I try to upload all of my lives to the YouTube channel. It's actually Ed's YouTube thing, so if you do a search for Creations by Julie, even though it's under his name, all my videos that I've uploaded will come up. It's a lot easier to find things. I've tried to label everything really well, and you can search, like if you're looking for Gingerbread Man, you could search. Somebody asked about our trees that we did with the scrapbook paper. Speaking of scrapbook paper, y'all, I went to Hobby Lobby yesterday. I don't know how many of y'all know they've marked their Christmas stuff to 70% off. Like I needed anything for Christmas. But, you know, 70% off. I bought a good bit. Some of it was to decorate the rest of my mantle and stuff for this year. But some of it I'll put back for next year. But my favorite find was they have their scrapbook paper packs, the books. They had some 8x10s, and they had a vintage Christmas one and then another Christmas one. But oh my goodness, those papers are so pretty. I cannot wait to play with them next year. You know, paper's not hard to store, so I got 2 of those. And they also, little heads up, have the flameless candles in the Christmas section. They had red ones, but they also had beige and white ones.
Karen Hunter said yes, and I spent $240
Oh, well, you.
under 70% off.
Yeah, you did more than I did then, Karen. Did you by any chance grab any of the scrapbook paper? Oh my gosh, that was my favorite find. But they have the wickless candles. I think they normally sell, the size I got was about this tall. They sell for $12.99, and I got 70% off. So I got them like for $3 something. And so I bought 2 of those because we're going to play with those next year. And they're not as pretty as the ones I ordered from Amazon that have they have a flickering flame. They don't have the flame that's actually moving. But they are neat candles.
Karen said she didn't see it.
Well, they're in the, I actually found it over the section in the middle, that runs down the middle aisle, with some of their kids, the little miniature things and the kids' kits and stuff like that. So I was tickled to death. Now, the candles were over in the regular Christmas section, and they're marked Christmas. So they're no different than the candles over in the candle section, which were actually 50% off. But I thought, well, I don't care that the label says Christmas. Okay. Now that one I got a little close to the edge because I couldn't see my line. Okay, where's my little thing? Okay, and I'm going to trim his head a little bit. To me, it's actually this side, and I hate to trim this side because that's where he looks like he's leaning sideways. And y'all, sometimes when I go to trim something, I end up messing it up instead of making it better. But anyway, okay. So just kind of squish your stuffing out a little bit better. And if you like the primitive grungy look, I'm going to show you how to get that. But let me find my wire. I brought buttons, I brought material, ribbon. Maybe I don't have my wire. Yeah, there it is. I see a piece of it. Okay, so I'm just going to take, this is, I don't even know what the gauge is, but it's rusty wire. And
it's 22.
Yeah, it's really thin. And you want to, I'll take off that end.
I may not know much, but I can tell you wire at a glance.
If you're going to put wire through, do it before you grunge it up. So all I did was just poke a hole. You can make it real fancy to where you twirl the end of it. I didn't twirl the end. I just brought it up and twisted it. Let's see about how big I want it. So I'm going to go to the other side and go through it, bring it up, and just twist it. Now you could take like needle nose pliers and make the cute little curls, but I didn't. Okay. Now, if you wanted just to decorate him like this, you could. You could use ribbon. You could use cloth. A lot of different things. Or you can mix what they call coffee grunge. And I will post the recipe for this. But it's a cup of hot water, half a cup of instant coffee. It's got to be the instant coffee. 2 tablespoons of vanilla and 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. And if you wanted to add nutmeg, you could. But it's just a coffee grunge. And you got to shake it, and then put it in your refrigerator. Okay, and then you're just going to, and this is, oh, it smells good. And this is cinnamon, and it's not as messy as the other because you've got the water. And it will darken it, and it will stiffen your paper a little bit more. And it'll last several weeks in the refrigerator. But I smell the vanilla and the coffee and cinnamon. But it doesn't work with regular coffee. You got to have the instant. For some reason, that one part up there's not wanting to grunge up for me. So you do one side, let it dry, and then do the other. If it's not as dark as you want it, then you just put another coat on it. All right, let me lay it right here. And I have one that I've already done and let it dry. I've done both sides, so now we can talk about how you want to decorate it, or decorate them, or whatever. Let me get my grunge up. But that's a good recipe. Doesn't make them as dark quite as the cinnamon.
It doesn't make as big a mess.
No, it doesn't. And I think it smells as good. You could add more cinnamon if you wanted to. But now this is one that was done with, was this done with the coffee grunge or the cinnamon? I think this was done with the cinnamon. The coffee grunge is the one. Can you just hand me that one over there? Sorry. I think it was done, is that one paper or cloth? That one's cloth. Mm-hmm. All right, let me see. I want to show them the other side. It was done with the coffee. All right, remember I just did this one? No, I did this one with cinnamon. But this side was done with coffee grunge. Duh. So I can take whatever side I want. But it does make it darker. Can't believe I did that, but oh well. Because I thought I have one done with the grunge. Now see this one before let's flatten him a little bit. Okay, but whether you use the coffee grunge or the cinnamon and Mod Podge. And if you want the recipe, I will put it on my page tomorrow. All right, so you've got your little gingerbread man, and this is really stiff, but this is the one that's Mod Podge and cinnamon, and he still smells good.
Is that fabric or?
No, this is paper. This one's paper. See, this one's going to be lighter, but I could give it another coat if I wanted to. But now, if you wanted to really, I brought some fabric in here. If you wanted just real easy breezy, I mean, you could even do just the coffee dyed, and you could make a bow. No eyes, no nothing. The eyes were fun, but you wouldn't have to. You could put a bow right here for a boy, put a bow up here for a girl, and be done. Hang it on your tree, put it on a package, do whatever. If you wanted to dress it up, all I did was take some material. Here, I started a little skirt. I just cut some material, tied a knot in one end of my yarn, and then just did a gathering stitch and pulled it and gathered it. And then you would just take it and open it up a little, put it on the waist of your little person, and glue it. Now, I took another strip of material and just went gave her a band around her skirt like this. So you would just, rather than leave this loose like that, you could put a band on it, and then you could put a button or two, or you could just put a bow in her hair and be done. or whatever you want, however you wanted to decorate her or him. Like I said, you could even use, this is coffee dyed, that red and white ticking, or it's almost a burgundy. But you could do something with that. I really like this particular material. And you could, let's just cut a piece of it. We don't need a real long piece, but I like to cut it and rip it. I like that look. Of course, we don't need one that long, but that's okay. And then just get the stuff off of it. But if you didn't want to put eyes, or if you didn't want to make it a girl or a boy, then you would just make a bow. This material's awesome because you can't tell right or wrong of the pattern. So just make a little bow. And I think they would be cute with no face. Okay. Takes a few minutes to make a little bow because you got to have that tightened. But you could do one and put a bow here hanging down for a boy, and then make another one and put the bow here at the top. And you wouldn't have to put it, you wouldn't have to draw a face or anything. But if you wanted to draw a face, I found that this puff paint works really well. I got it at Hobby Lobby. It's Tulip Puffy, and it's got a pretty fine, starts to say sharp, fine tip. And, you know, I just kind of went crazy on this one. But it looks good without any kind of ribbon or bow to it. But, I mean, you still could after it. You know, it's dry now. I did it last night. So you could put a bow on this one. Or you could make it a bow tie. So that's what's so fun to me, is the different ways. I brought buttons and I brought the cloth, and I know didn't use this ribbon, but I thought this would be real pretty to use on maybe one this shade or something. And I may do that with this one or something to really give it the country look. But what I'm going to do with mine is like try to get two alike and make one a girl and one a boy, like this color and this color. Now you can see by me sewing this one, you know, he's a little bit wider because when I came in and sewed those edges. So if you trace around it and glue it, you've got one a little bit larger than if you like sew the edges together. But I wanted to do a girl and a boy, and then I don't know that I'll do another one out of felt. I might. This was the first one I did, and I didn't like the way I had to keep changing thread. But, so I may do a smaller one. I had just 2 pieces of felt, and I have a little bit of it left, not much. Yeah. So you could get 2 out of like 2 pieces of felt. But now this one I think would need to be this smaller, because I don't think you can get this bigger one on there. No, you cut off his hands and feet. So it would need to be a little smaller. I have really made a mess on the table tonight. But you could do a smaller one like that and do a felt. So that's kind of my goal, is to do 2 of each, a boy and a girl. We'll see. But, all right. Did y'all have any questions about cutting them out? Just Google a pattern for gingerbread man pattern and save a free one to your computer, and then resize it whatever. You just pick the size you want to do. You could do whatever size you wanted to do. And the grunging it with the Mod Podge and the cinnamon is a little messy. And it comes out pretty dark, but they're stiff, and, you know, that'll go from season to season and year to year. in your Christmas decorations and stuff. These would be, you can use gingerbread men for winter. These would be cute in a dough bowl and stuff with a winter scene. So, and I might even prop one up on my tiered tray. Who knows? But, okay, well, that's all I have for you tonight. And I'll tell you, I was going to give away a gingerbread man, and then I thought they don't want my messes and my playing with. And so I thought what I would do is give away this votive that we made a couple of months ago with the tea light. This is one of the tea lights that flicker. But it's the votive with the cardinal, and we all know you can use cardinals year-round, but you certainly can use it for the winter time. So the second person that I see that says, I'm still here, will get this votive from me. And I'll put my gingerbread people in a dough bowl or something. So if you're still here, I just need to see, I'm still here. And we're going to go with the second person that I see post. So I'm going to trim up my little guy a little bit.
And Travis says I'm still here.
Okay, was that the...
Sandy Renshaw says
okay, Sandy's the second one I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Sandy, you are getting the votive and the candle. So, okay, now, like I said, I'll be back Monday. I'm gonna show you how to take just a jar and make a really cute, it could be a gift for somebody, but it's a real cute, easy decoration to make for Christmas. And then we're done till next year. So I appreciate y'all hopping on tonight and hanging around to see my poor pitiful gingerbread men and women. But I think they are addictive, and you want to play, because you just keep wanting to do different things with them. So I think the more you make, the better you'll get at making them. But I definitely liked tracing it, cutting around it, and leaving about 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch or something. It makes them a little bit larger, but that's okay. You don't have all that stuffing coming out.
That's an old carpenter trick.
Draw it once and...
Draw it larger, and you can always take away what you can't put back.
Yeah, yeah. And the first one I did, this was the very first one I did, I believe. And I believe when I did this one out of the fabric, I had a hard time getting the edges right
Pull
there.
that one up straight.
This was, I think, the second one I did. But you can use, I see little glue needs to go right there. You can use any kind of fabric you want to. But it's real neat that you can just use a paper bag and make a cute. So I will get off of here tonight, and I will see y'all Monday at 6 o'clock. And that will be it for the year. So I appreciate y'all being on here, and have a good weekend. Stay warm, especially those of you that are going to get the snow. Stay safe, and make some gingerbread men. Make them with your grandkids or whatever, and have fun with them. So let me turn her light off. Sandy will get that. Would you write her name on the board, please? My memory's horrible now, y'all. And I've got cinnamon all in my nails. So, okay, Sandy. Hopefully you'll be able to join us Monday. If not, you can always go back and watch the replays. And I'm probably, even though I'm not going live, I'm probably going to go back through YouTube, because we made a lot of cute things last year before Christmas too. Different trees and the snowman out of the light bulb, and we made some cute things. I probably will just share those links, since I'm not going live the week of Christmas and the week after. So, all right, well, I'm going to get off of here and clean up my mess, and I will see y'all Monday at 6 o'clock. Thanks for being here. Bye-bye.